And we're back on another exciting episode of Starfleet Boy, where we have a casual and informal conversation about Star Trek. Today we're focused on Star Trek Lower Decks, Season 3, Episode 6, Hear All, Trust Nothing, which is one of the rules of acquisition. And it's nice to see you
Mm,
guys, gentlemen. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you? We have Braxton returning, and we have Marcelo coming back after a bit. Nice to see you, Marcelo. And I think PJ
Nice
is
to you
going to be here
too.
in about 10 minutes should his shuttle arrive through the wormhole and dock on the station. And sometimes these shuttles, they're a little late coming through that wormhole. Those prophets like to like to keep you in there for a bit,
uh,
and they don't know how much time passes. Time has no meaning for them, so that's how it goes. But how are you guys doing today? Welcome. By the way, I'm wearing my Tendy shirt that just came in the mail, which I love.
oh,
And it
dude,
says
that is
science.
fabulous, dude.
Yeah, it's like a really cool shirt. I don't know. I don't know if y'all have seen that
Nice.
one yet, but it's part of that Lower Decks shirt collective thing. So you can order them individually, like if you really like one, or you can do the subscription like I do, which means now
Did you
I
get that? Did you get
with
that
it.
from StarTrek.com or another vendor?
No, so it's done a little differently. It's through the animation company that does the show. They're called Titmouse Animation, and so
Tit, tit mouth.
yeah, it's like a bird. There's a bird called a titmouse, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, it's a mouse called a titmouse. I thought it was a bird first. Wait, hold on. I have to look it up now. Dang it.
So it's titmouth, dot net.
.net, yes, that's them. And it is a bird. I was right the first time. I should have gone with my instinct. So it looks kind of like a cardinal, it has that little, it has a little fluff thing on the top of its head. And
Cool.
it's where are they located? Let me see. Usually it looks like,
California?
are they a
Maybe.
California bird?
No, but the company, not the bird.
Well, it says it's a small songbird from North America. So Braxton and Marcelo, you might have heard them in your neck of the woods.
Oh, but the
So
company the company is
it's
based
called
in
that,
California,
yeah.
right? But
Ah,
Anime, yeah.
the company is based in California, or
No, Canada. Oh, sorry. Thank you. I think they're in Canada, if I'm not
Mm,
mistaken.
okay, that would make
But
sense.
you can get the shirt anywhere. Like you can order the shirt in the United States and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But
dude,
are
some of
they
these
in
shirts
Canada?
look really awesome.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
the
they're really.
Deep Space Nine one is really cool. Do you have that one already?
I don't have that one yet. It's coming. So they come after this. Even though this one has Tendi on it, this was from her like from another. Which was it? Episode 4, I think. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was from episode 3 or 4. So yeah, exactly. So they come a little later than the episode airs. So yeah, I'm excited to get that Deep Space Nine one.
Ooh, and you're also gonna get the Rutherford one as
Yeah,
well.
that one looks really cool too. There's a
Oh
Rutherford
my
one
god.
too.
Dude, those are
Uh,
so
yeah,
cool. I'm gonna
you're
have to get.
welcome, Titmouse and Mike. And we just did an unsolicited shout out to the clothing. So maybe some folks here will go buy them and stuff like that. Jill says, "I am watching the series finale of Game of Thrones, getting ready for more House of the Dragon tonight. I tried to catch up on House Hot D, but I couldn't. But yeah, thanks for that Hot D update, Jill. Jill also asks, did Tendi ever wear that outfit on the show? Which one? This one? Oh no, it's different. Oh yeah. Oh, I just noticed that. Thanks for pointing that out. I don't know. I don't think she has worn it. It's like a little different. I think they're going to be wearing something like it, maybe. Hmm. Anyways, shall we get started, gentlemen? I think we bought PJ about 4 minutes. Marcelo, since it's been a while since you've been on, oh wait, sorry. Cake. One quick thing. Cake says you. I said you can get it anywhere, and that equals U.S. and Canada only. Cake, if there's a shirt that you want, let me know in a DM, and we'll figure out a way to get it to you. So, I apologize. Yeah, you can't get it everywhere. I guess I didn't realize that, but U.S. and Canada, you got some gray market here. You know, we can get Quark to figure out a way to ship you a shirt. So Marcel, since it's been a minute, would you mind giving the episode summary for this episode? And I know Lower Decks is one of your favorite Star Trek series, and so is Deep Space Nine, right?
Yeah, well, in this episode, I believe that the Cerritos have to supervise a cargo run in Deep Space Nine, and that gives Tendi and Rutherford a chance to visit the station for the first time, and Mariner and Jennifer do the relationship thing when Mariner meets Jennifer's friends. And let's just say that whole thing brings a whole bunch of laughs, and it just works for me basically. And we get to see some of our favorites from D Space Nine, like Cork and Major Kira. So that's not much
Yeah.
of a summary, but that's
No, it was
pretty
good.
much it.
I'll only just add that the originally it was supposed to be a cargo run. They were taking all this liquor over to these negotiations, but then Captain Freeman has to lead the negotiations. So that's the only other thing that I'll add. Yeah. So yeah,
Right.
very cool. But yeah, nice, good, quick summary. You know, we like those those quick summaries here. And you gave us a little bit about what you think of this episode, Braxton. We talked about this episode on Twitter Spaces, but have you watched it again? And do you have any more thoughts or any new thoughts about it since you watched it
I
before?
totally forgot that they were running booze, and it is so appropriate that you're talking about smuggling T-shirts today, Starfleet Boy, because we have Quark. So that was fun. But so this episode is a great episode. I don't know if it's my favorite. Like, I feel like, these top tier lower decks episodes are all kind of like the same to me as far as like goodness and quality. But when the music of Deep Space Nine came on,
Oh my
like my
gosh, so
heart
good.
kind of like soared a little bit, and then like they circled around the station, and the wormhole opened up. I was like, ooh, wow, you know. So I loved being back on Deep Space Nine. It was great to see Kira. I absolutely loved Tendi as a superhero this week. I laughed out loud when Mariner stunned the girls. Um, but yeah, it was great to see Quark. It was great to be back on Deep Space Nine. Great episode.
Totally. I agree. I've watched it a couple times since, and we've talked about it on Text Track, and we're going to talk about it again on Trek Central today with Captain Jack. So anything can happen. He's going to be, Captain Jack's a little bit chaotic, but we love it. So tune into that today at 4 p.m. Eastern. But yeah, since watching it again, I've noticed like a lot of cool things. Like they really did it. I mean, I already felt this on first impression, but they really did a wonderful job of not only being lower decks and not losing sight of what lower decks is and keeping it real with the with our lower deckers and seeing what they're up to, but also giving us just enough of a glimpse of what's been going on Deep Space Nine. And I found out on Mike McMahon was on a podcast for I Quit Star Trek, which is a great podcast if you guys want to go listen to it. But he said it's been 6 years since DS9, the last episode of Deep Space Nine. So this picks up 6 years later. So for the last 6 years, we see that Kira's been, managing the station or running the station, I should say, and she's a colonel now. And we get Worf. Sorry, we don't get Worf. We get Quark, and we finally. This was really exciting because we've had mentions of Quark, in Star Trek Picard with Free Cloud, and seeing it Quark's was there. And we learn here that he's done franchising and that there's 21 Quark's locations across the Alpha Quadrant there, or rather I should say through the Federation. Maybe he's got Quark, Ferengis, maybe he's got some stuff in Romulan and maybe even other territories as well, because I don't remember the Ferengi what their alliances are, but I'm sure they deal with everyone. So yeah, so it's so cool to see That also just a revisit to the station. Some of y'all, Deep Space Nine is your favorite show, so I can only imagine what that's like to go onto the station and see it. No, I can't. I can imagine very well because it's a very good show. It's not my favorite. TNG is my favorite, but that's okay. It still doesn't. It doesn't. We don't have to compare one show against the other. But regardless, Deep Space Nine is an awesome show, and it was beautifully treated in this episode. And then I noticed a lot of cool little things, like for example, just like Tendy's little, her little gestures and things like that. I was watching it more for the animation this time, and I just love the way that they do everyone's expressions. The characters are just so much better animated this season. So just everything overall, like the atmospherics, the station looked amazing, like the exteriors and the interiors. And yeah, just like overall, I think this is going to be one of those episodes of Star Trek that you put into like those box sets or whatever, and well, we don't have box sets anymore, but you put them in those lists of like great episodes and stuff like that. Yay, we got PJ here. PJ, you're just in time to tell us your thoughts about this episode.
I thought it was pretty good, and it would have been
Nice.
the best episode of Lower Decks if it wasn't for that B plot with the wax candle stuff and the annoying friends. Like, I have a lower opinion of Jennifer now because of her. Like, and when they panic, they're Starfleet officers, and they panic like frightened children. And it's played for laughs, I know, but I was like, get back to DS9. I want to see Tendi and Rutherford and Quark and Kira. And, yeah.
Yeah, her
But
friends
it was
are
pretty
awful.
good.
But some of us have had friends like that.
It seemed like a room full of potential Karens, if you know what I mean.
They're- Potential
TJ, me
Karens.
and you are in agreement on that one. I don't really like Jennifer for Mariner. I feel like Jennifer and her so
Oh,
boring.
who should Mariner hook up with again? Who was it?
We don't
you
know
said-
Jennifer that well, though. I mean,
I
we
liked
get to know her a
meeting.
bit. I would have rather that Jennifer and Mariner went on the station and like went somewhere and had like a conversation or something. You know what I mean? Like something that really fleshed out the character.
Jennifer doesn't like to do that. She just wants to like do interpretive dance and make candles. She has no thirst
And wear
for
yoga
adventure.
pants.
Well, actually, what would they called it? Betazoid casual. Like that was like the
Betazoid casual wear or something like that.
Yes, it was like that. Jill agrees Jennifer's not a good match for Mariner, in my opinion. She
Yeah,
goes
well,
from being boring
yeah, you guys
to
are all
wanting to
insane.
see her friends harmed. Pass.
You guys are all insane.
Do you like Jennifer?
Ooh, Jill.
Yeah. Look, I mean, the one thing that I've said in the various conversations that I've been around for this season of Lord X, I haven't been around much, but I have wanted the relationship gobble to start happening between our characters, and I really like Mariner and Jennifer as a couple, and it was really nice to see them interact in a social setting, even if they were interacting with Jennifer's friends, who are a bunch of Karens and they were a little bit queen bitch of the universe kind of thing.
There are a bunch of Castros, maybe,
Yeah,
because the main character was Castro. Maybe that's a new thing we could.
yeah,
The main
so-
like girl there was Castro, but
Right, so-
but carry on. Sorry.
I'm sorry. So based on that, I really enjoyed that. Also, if I could say one thing, this is actually my second favorite episode of the entire show. Because as
Ooh.
you know, I adore Deep Space Nine. I mean, so for me, it's the pilot, this episode, and Crisis Point, the one where Mariner gets counseling by the holodeck. This episode hit me in the feels so much, and this episode would have been bloody perfect if the people at Lower Decks, I'm looking at you, Mike McMahon, would have done one thing. And if you guys know me at all, you know what that one thing that I would have wanted. If this would have happened, I would have lost my mind. But alas, it didn't happen. So maybe next time, if we ever go back to the station.
You guys, I just did my first. I don't know how this works exactly. We've done this on Trek Central, but I just did my first poll. So, audience members, feel free to
Is it
answer
on
the poll.
Twitter? What is it on?
It's no, it's in YouTube. So if you're watching this stream on YouTube, in the chat, there's now a poll. So Jill had said something about doing a poll, so I just did it, and it worked. So yeah, so far the answer is yes. No, it's 50-50 now. So yeah, how exciting! I got to try not to get distracted here.
Also, also, I thought the character balance in this episode was really, really well. Was really, really well done. You had Jennifer and Mariner. You had Tendi and Rutherford, and also you had the Prime crew actively doing something in this episode. I really, really appreciate that because most times it's the lower deck crew responding to something that the Prime crew is doing. So I really like that we had all our characters on the board in this episode, and they were all doing something, that had substance, at least for me.
Right on.
You know who the real Karens were?
Who were
The Karemma.
the Karemma?
They're like one. They're literally one word away from having Karen in their name. No, that whole thing. One criticism about the DS9 storyline is that whole thing. It's like all based on a stupid Three's Company style misunderstanding, where they should have just said, "Well, Quark." They should have explained to Kira, "Quark stole this. We're going to arrest him now." But instead, they do the whole like kidnapping thing, and then at the end, they're like, well, we were arresting him, and they're like, oh, and Freeman should have said, you should have told us that in the first place, like, and we could have avoided all this, but it's
Right.
silly. It's silly.
I like that you
nonsense.
said it's Three's Company. Are you watching Three's Company, or are you just a fan of it? And you
It's
remember
it's
that?
always on.
I love come and knock on my
Knock on my
door.
door.
We'll be waiting for you. Nice. Well, what did you guys think of seeing Deep Space Nine on screen? In this one shot, I will just say one little critique. Sometimes it looks too real. Like it does take me out of it a little bit when they look a little too real. But here it looks perfect. I think sometimes it looked like it was an actual screenshot from the show. Or like an actual, like CG was done so good that they made it look too much like the show. But that's a minor critique. What about you guys? What did you think?
I loved it.
Beautiful.
It looked wonderful. I mean, this episode proves to me. Come on, Alex. I'm talking to you, Mr. Kurtzman. Do Enterprise in animated form, please. Come on.
I would like that actually, like
yeah,
Enterprise
yeah,
season 5 animated, but like a
yeah.
higher quality not a higher quality. That's the bad wrong word. A different style of animation that's more photorealistic.
No, but
rather, I should say.
like I'm with I'm with PJ 100%. This looks absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, there's sorry for saying quality there because the quality is superb. I've said that before, but what I meant is a more photorealistic style. But yeah, Enterprise would be amazing animated season 5, right? Like just keep going, like finish Enterprise.
Yeah, finish it properly.
Finish Enterprise. I think the actors would all be down for that too. I don't see why not. Let's see. In the audience. I thought Betazoid casual meant nude. No, that would be like Betazoid wedding.
It's going formal, yeah.
Betazoid formal, that's true. The more casual they are, the more clothing they're wearing.
It's like somebody comes down over the stairs like completely naked. It's like, oh, where are you going tonight?
Also-
are you going somewhere special?
Also, am I losing my mind? But when Rutherford and Tendi were walking across the promenade for the first time, they pass a very similar animated character that looks just like the guy that led the mob in that one episode where they wanted to lynch Odo because they thought that he committed murder. Am I losing my mind? I need
Wait.
Father. Where's Father
Wait.
when I need him?
You cut out for me. Sorry, I think my internet's cutting out
Sorry.
here. But what was it that you asked? What was the question, if you don't mind repeating?
When Tendi and Rutherford were walking across the promenade for the first time, a character passes them. It's very, very subtle, but that character looks just like the guy that led the revolt against Odo when Odo got accused of murder on the station in the first episode. I mean, in the first season.
Wow.
I like where's Father when you need him? But that character design looks just like the actor from that episode. I don't know what the
I don't.
episode is called, but
I'd have to go back and look, but that's interesting. Someone also said that they spotted someone that looked a little bit like Nog, and I did see that character. It was just a younger Ferengi and a Bajoran pal of his that they were standing around, but I don't. I definitely know. I'm 100% positive it wasn't meant to be Nog. But it was just like a younger Ferengi. What did you guys think of the cameos that we did get on there? I guess let's go straight to the first one, which is Colonel Kira. How did you feel about her coming back?
it was awesome. It was great to catch up with her again. And I really, as I've gotten older, I've really gotten to appreciate Deep Space Nine for the writing and the quality of the characters. And it was just cool to hang out with these people again. It was just nice to be there and soak it all in. So it was just great to see her again.
Did you guys expect her to be still serving in the Bajoran government and being a colonel, or were you guys thinking she was going to go off on a different path?
I think by the time. Oh, sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
Go
PJ,
ahead.
no.
Go ahead, PJ.
I was just gonna say I would assume she'd be there even in like real time, like Picard season 3 time.
Oh, you think she'll still even be on the station then, right?
Yeah, I think she's gonna be there for a while.
How many years after this is Picard season 1, 2, 3, roughly? I guess
17 years.
Oh, okay. Okay. So 6 years since DS9 ended, 17
I
years
think.
later.
Someone will correct me on that.
And the cool thing is, if she does appear ever live action, I don't know if some people are speculating that we may see Deep Space Nine live action in Picard season 3. I don't think that's gonna
I
happen.
don't think so. No.
Yeah, but if we were to see her, it'd be cool because Nana Visitor could wear her gray hair at that point if she wanted to.
I wouldn't doubt you may see a DS9 character or two through a screen or something like. Remember that episode? I can't remember the TNG episode where Quark cameos, and he's just like there for a second just to talk to Riker on the screen. It's kind of like Janeway in Nemesis. Like,
Right.
you could get something like that, but I think it's going to be a TNG focused kind of deal with other characters maybe here and there. I have no idea, but I would love for them to like Fathery would like very much do a 25th century show that maybe necessarily doesn't have to take place entirely on DS9, but DS9 is a one of the stories.
Yeah.
Like, you could have the station. We've learned that you could have that station as a center, and then you can go anywhere else you want in the show. Like, it's that kind of deal. Like, you're not stuck on a starship, and from week to week you have a new version of the Defiant. I'm just getting carried away because I just like when I saw Kira, I had no idea who was going to be in the episode, so I assumed Kira and Quark at least, and that's pretty much all we got. But that was fine. But like the smile on my face for all the DS, I like a perma smile. Like my mouth, my face hurt because like just the inner joy. Like, it could have been a crap episode, and I'm like, they're on DS9. Oh my god! But the Tendi storyline and the Shax and his history with Kira was amazing. It was so good.
Let's transition into that. This was really amazing. I love this moment for Shax's character, as well as just, again, getting more of this. Like, also, it was a great way, we pointed this out, I think, on Text Trek, but it was a great way to bring the character of Kira into the comedy, right? Like, as far as like bringing her into the Lower Decks vibe. So this whole argument that takes place throughout the whole episode, where they're back and forth comparing, who saved who, was just brilliant, and it was done really well. I love the way that she's like, I don't remember that mission, and he's like, Nerys. It's like you could tell they had some good history in there. It makes me really appreciate Shax too, even more, that he like was in all these adventures with Kira and stuff like that. I like that because now when I watch Deep Space Nine and she talks about the occupation and like her days in as a resistance fighter, I'm gonna always imagine Shax is right there beside her. I'd like to see what Shax looked like back then too. I wonder if they've ever shown us a flashback or if they will. That'd be cool. Braxton, what did you think of Kira and seeing? Are you a fan of the character?
Oh my gosh, dude, I love Kira, dude. How do you not? How do
Nice.
you not love Kira, dude? She's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's true. Well, I didn't
Hmm.
like her at first. I was really annoyed with Kira way back in the day when she first. I was like, she's arguing with Benjamin, and then remember when she went over Benjamin's head straight to was it Admiral Nechayev? Was that the admiral in that episode?
No, Ben, that Bajoran woman just interrupted a staff meeting. You have a problem.
That's right. It's like-
Come on.
right? She was like, yeah, she was like crazy at the beginning, like she was just so mad and everything. But I like
Yeah.
that she stays mad, but it turns to, obviously she grows. But
But you
yeah, in the
understand
beginning I was
why.
like not a fan because I
I
was
mean-
so Starfleet, back when I was a kid. I was so like,
Yeah, I mean,
oh my god, I was like Marcella, throw her in the brig, like,
I mean, the great thing about Kira as a character is that she is a really good case study for someone who has done something for the proper reasons, but she's also a brilliant case study to actually show what can happen to somebody when they go through deep traumatic stress, and
yes,
to see how
actually
that
very cool.
and to see how that unfolds throughout the seasons is quite fulfilling as a fan.
Yeah, and seeing her come to terms with like the gray, right? Like the gray
Right.
areas of things and stuff like that. And yeah, she goes on quite a journey. So if you haven't seen Deep Space Nine, I haven't seen it in completion in a long time. I'm excited because after we finish our animated series discussions, we are going to do Deep Space Nine discussions on.
Oh my
Starfleet
god, I
Boy,
gotta!
so, yeah.
Oh my god, I gotta!
Yeah.
I might have to. I might have to kill my family to be in all those
Wow.
discussions.
And if you
This
really
is such
think
a
about,
beautiful shot.
oh yeah, Kira's backstory is crazy too, because when you meet her, she is like a very angry person. And the more you learn about her, you're like, oh my god, I see why.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
actually like her,
100%.
and her complicated relationship with Vedic Win or Kai Win. It's crazy. I also think, this whole tragic backstory that most characters have to have now in everything. There's always a point where somebody just recounts like my whole family died in the fire and blah blah blah, this and that. Her story was you got to know so gradually, and by the end, like she was just a well-rounded, not only her but everybody in the cast. It was just like the show was so good at that kind of character development, and she's one of the best characters in Star Trek, hands down.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, and it makes sense for her to come
And to have
back.
her
It's, like, so
have
cool. Yeah.
Nana Visitor star in a show
Yeah,
would just be like a no-brainer.
I agree. She'd be amazing at it. Especially that character. It's like she knows that character so well, I feel like. By the way, I pitched this before, but if you get a chance and you listen to the Gates McFadden podcast called Investigates, which I think is like a brilliant title for a podcast hosted by Gates McFadden, I would highly recommend listening to the Nana Visitor episode. I will say that I think they do say it in front of the episode too. There's a trigger warning because Nana talks about her own. She's had a pretty crazy experience herself, and she was held hostage in her own home, and so she tells and recounts that story. So go check it out. But she also does a show with her son Django, which is on YouTube, and I forget what it's called right now. But you could probably find it by checking her Twitter account out. But yeah.
Yeah, I did actually listen to that when Nana was on Gates's show, Gates's podcast, and that was really, really eye opening to me because I never knew that, and I just felt so much sadness for what she had to go through when she, quote unquote, went through the home invasion. By the way, if you do listen to that episode, it's really awful.
Intense.
What she had to, what happened to her during the home invasion.
Oh my gosh, was she assaulted?
Well, let's not talk about it, Braxton. But yes, go listen.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to like
I have not
trigger
listened
anyone's
to that
trauma.
podcast yet. I can't.
It's
believe
pretty
it.
bad.
Yeah. Yeah,
No,
it's
I, I
it's
I haven't
heavy.
listened to any episodes, and I'm like been meaning to for like a year. It's like I should get on that.
Right
Gates
on.
McFadden, I love her.
What'd you guys think of the Karemma coming back?
I don't remember the
Is
dilemma.
that who they were? I don't know them.
The James Cromwell from what was that episode?
Well, that's later,
Starship Down, yeah.
but I think Father was saying they're in the first season as well in the Tullaberry wine episode. So, or was that second season? But anyways, they were interesting. I liked how snooty they were and stuff like that in there. Joel in the audience is asking, what were they going to do? What were they going to do with that power nullifying device? Steal more booze?
When they came through and they were like, "Ooh, well, if this doesn't work, like we have other means," and then he like flashed the bomb. I was like, "Oh my gosh, is that like a nuke or something?" And then they, showed us that it was, a something else. But I
Yeah.
was like, "Ooh, wow, these guys don't play, dude. Like they're willing to blow up the whole ship."
Yeah, they
Oh,
could have
Father.
just explained themselves very easily, but we had to have that whole deal play out.
So they were mentioned in season 2 and then seen in season 3 and 4. Thanks, Fathery, for clarifying that. But yeah, I thought they were. That was cool to bring them back. I like the characters a lot. Uh, Here we have Quark charging, being Quark basically, charging charging for autographs and stuff like that. Jill was saying earlier, my favorite thing about the episode was how great Quark's screams were. They were born level. It's true when the power goes out, like. And then Joel's saying, "Yes, Armin brought it." So yeah, what'd you guys think of Quark and coming back and still being here at the bar and still up to his shenanigans? There's no Rom because we know Rom is the Grand Nagus, or we think Rom is the Grand Nagus. Anything could happen in 6 years, of course. And I'm not sure how they're gonna treat the character Nog in Star Trek further down the line, but Aaron Eisenberg passed away, so unfortunately he cannot reprise that role. So if they mention Nog, it might be we might not see him on screen or anything like that. But what'd you think of the state of Quark's bar and Quark and Armin Shimmerin? You can go first, Marcelo.
It was, like I said, I love Deep Space Nine, so it was just fun to see him again and to see him do the high pitch scream like Boimler. I think was cool. I did notice that his voice is a little bit. I don't want to sound disconcerting, but his voice does sound a little different than it usually does from Deep Space Nine seasons 1 to 7. But that happens with age; all voices change.
Yeah,
But
everyone's
it
voice
would,
changed. If you
yeah,
go back
but
and listen to Sohail's voice back in the
oh
day,
hell
it's
yeah,
quite
hell yeah! You're. I mean, your
6 years
early
ago I had
episodes.
a different voice.
Yeah, your early episodes of Starfleet Boys. You sound like you're like sucking through helium or something.
Yeah, it's
It's very
totally different. Now, all
disconcerting.
that whiskey I drank on Starfleet Boy After Dark changed my voice.
Yeah, but yeah, in all seriousness, it was such a joy to see Cork again up through shenanigans. Even at the very end, stealing the gold tooth from Tendi and quoting a rule of acquisition. I thought it was so cool to see him again.
What about you, PJ?
Yeah, I loved seeing Armin Shimmerman back. He does. Him and Nana sound a bit older, but
That's natural. Yeah.
and
it's
as
totally
Father
understandable.
pointed out, it's 20 years between this and Picard season 2. This is 2381.
Yeah. So 18.
So-
I think he said 18 years. No. Or 20 years. Yeah, you're
20
right. Sorry,
years.
20 years exactly.
So yeah, they are
I can't
playing,
do math.
They are playing this. Their characters 20 years their junior, so it's not gonna. I would expect Quark now, if you saw him in like 25th century, to look older and to sound older, but it's like Jonathan Frakes and Marina Sirtis when they guest starred. There's a certain kind of like way they have to do it in the voiceover. Like they have to speak faster for one thing. It's not this like they can't take up as much screen time per se as like if they were acting in live action. So the pacing is always weird. I like these little moments where he's like, Kira, they're trying to rip me off, and he's like, I have principles. She's like, no, you don't. Like I can picture
Yeah.
that kind of thing in the live
The
action.
banter, the banter was spot on.
But not as quick. Like Lower Decks has that like kind of like old fashioned 40s, 30s kind of like quick dialogue. But
What's amazing
it's great to hear Quark and Armin Shimmerman back. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
Sorry,
and
go ahead.
PJ, did you know that he brought the teeth? Joel's pointing it out, but he brought the teeth with him and put them on for the recording so that he could sound more like Quark.
And he also mentioned in the Seventh Rule
Oh, cool! That's out. I haven't seen it yet.
podcast that they did that Thursday with Nana and
Oh, that's right. No, I
Armin.
remember about that.
Yeah, he talked about the original teeth were like stolen. So he used teeth, but not the original ones he used in the show. Apparently,
Who stole the original teeth? All Trekkies have to go and find the original teeth. That person surely has shown it off by now. We have to find this person and get the teeth back. That's pretty funny.
whatever teeth he used, he said they don't fit him the way the old ones did or something. Yeah,
Gotcha. I can't imagine that someone on the production teams at Paramount or CBS wouldn't make him a new set that fit nicely. I think they should do that as a gift for Quark, for Armin. Linda Marks in the audience says, I hope we'll see DS9 in the 25th Century Picard spinoff. Building the sets will be tough, though. Yeah, I agree. I think PJ was talking about that earlier, too, and I totally think it'll be tough, but it'll be worth it if you're going to see it as a reoccurring kind of thing. And we might not see it in Picard, but if we do see it in a future show or something,
Starfleet Academy, perhaps,
maybe or something. But I think you could definitely get away with like a lot more green screen these days, or even using the AR wall to recreate the promenade or promenade. How do you say it, by the way? Do you guys say promenade or promenade?
promenade.
Okay, so I'll say promenade then as well. It's like
Promenade sounds like a drink.
Yeah, it does sound like a lemonade.
Promenade, half off, no waiting.
Fathery, wait. So first we have Joel saying Brunt stole the teeth. That would make a lot of sense. And then Fathery says, I got the original teeth for all the Ferengi and most of the Klingons under my. Could you imagine how weird? Like you look under Fathery's bed, it's just all teeth. I don't want to imagine that anymore. Jill says it's really too bad they didn't keep Seven's implants or Quark's teeth. At least Marina managed to steal a wig. That's pretty funny. So Joel is pointing out that promenade is square dancing. Okay. So promenade. Good to know. So we get the Quark 2000, which is his little machine that he's made that we later find out is using technology from the Karemma, and that's why he was being so sketchy about wanting to meet them and help out with the negotiations, which is a great like DS9 type Quark plot. So I thought that was pretty cool. But we get our lower deckers. We see Morn there, by the way, on the left, which is awesome. You can't have so that's another cameo. I guess it counts. And people are
Somebody pointed out, played by the same voice actor.
Exactly. So Boiler immediately goes off to the Davo table, and then we get Tendi and Rutherford left with at first to their own devices. And then we meet this guy Mesk, who's like another Orion who's in Starfleet. And he comes over and kind of like wants to meet Tendi because he doesn't see many Orions, and she's like, oh yeah, at least not in Starfleet. And she's like, oh yeah, same thing. But he immediately starts going into like pirate pride, I guess you can call it. And then this completely annoys Tendi, and she's kind of like trying to avoid the conversation of of piracy because she disapproves of it, and she generally thinks like that it's too much of a stereotype that like Orions are associated with this, like with crime syndicates and piracy and stuff like that. So she's trying to break that stigma, I guess. But she keeps meeting these like situations. She keeps getting to these situations where she has to kind of let her pirate side come out, like last season with Mariner, and in that episode, and then now here in this episode. What did you guys think of this whole dynamic and Mesk especially as a little cameo or a new character here? PJ, what did you think of all this?
I thought it was funny that he was perpetrating all the stereotypes of Orions, yet he's like the biggest poser of them all. That little reveal was funny, but he's not a despicable character. I thought he was going to be. When I first saw the episode, I thought he was going to be someone shady and he was going to do something to them at the end. But I love the twist where Tendy's just annoyed by him pointing out all of the negative stereotypes, I suppose, of Orions, and then embracing it at the end. And the tool she uses is hilarious. She removes that guy's tooth, and Rutherford's like, "That's got a tooth remover too." She's like, "Can't talk, pirating stuff." It's good stuff. I liked it. I liked his character too. I mean, I'm glad he wasn't a heel. Like, he just turned out to be a poser. I'm like, okay, cool.
Right, that he wasn't actually like a jerk or anything like that. Marcelo, what did you think of this guy?
If I have one negative about this episode, is this guy. I just found him like to be very, very annoying, and I really don't like how certain characters keep bringing up that Tendi is in Orion, and they keep harping on her culture, and they keep harping on how uncomfortable that makes her. And I'm like, guys, we get it now. Can we just do something different with my beloved Tendi? Like, why don't we why don't we start like putting them together, Rutherford and Tendi together? I mean, you guys know what's going to happen. I mean, I might be the only person on the stream right now shipping the two of them, but I would love to see the writers go in a different direction with Tendi this season, because to me it seems like they have played the Tendi not being comfortable with being in Orion outwardly enough on the show. And
well, she does have a change of kind of. She does have that realization at the end that maybe she is too sensitive about it, and that she does need to embrace her past a little more. So I think this is a turning point for the character. I think you're right about that.
Right. So I would just love to see them go in a different direction with Tendi for the remainder of the episodes that we have this season.
Braxton, any additional thoughts on Mesk?
Oh yeah, I enjoyed Mesk. I think that Mesk was a good vehicle for Tendi to explore her Orion powers. Yeah, I like Mesk.
I like you referring to them as powers, because they are. She is very powerful in a sense, but her training, I guess, Anyway, sorry.
But I like Mesk. Like Mesk is a good guy. Like he's just a poser. But he's a good guy.
Jill points out that Mesk never annoyed Rutherford. It was interesting because he was always like, "Yeah, that's cool." Like, and I think that's how like a lot of people would feel in general about pirates until they're pirated, I guess. Like, but in general, pirates have like if pirates mess with you, I guess it's one thing. It's interesting. We saw some pirates in Strange New Worlds. We haven't actually. Well, we did see pirates last season here. So pirates is kind of like a fun. I think it's a fun thing that Star Trek has, and it makes sense that there would be piracy in space. In the less governed regions, perhaps.
Isn't in this timeline the Orions have just given up that life, or like a lot of them?
She says, I think Tendi says like not all Orions are like that, and like so Orion, like it would.
But a lot of them were very recently, like our parents were part of the syndicate. I'm like, okay, Jesus. They do harp on that a lot, though. I mean, I can see that being like a problem if oh, what do we do with Tendi? Something about her, Orions being pirates and stuff. It's like, no.
Yeah,
But
it's true.
they don't do it with every Tendi storyline. But yeah, I can see how that can be annoying.
I wanted that Orion. Jill says I wanted that Orion multi-key for my glove box. Maybe the Swiss Army Company can make some. Oh my gosh, that's a really good idea. The multi-key, like a crazy weapon. Joel says I imagine the pirate shanty is not Orion at all, just from the Federation Hollow novels. Yeah. Oh, I love when he confesses and he says
The ones with the boobs on them.
yes. He's like, I was like, oh boy. That's so funny. At one point, Mess says she opened the door with the wine opener. Oh, that's right. So it has a wine opener tool on it as well, which is great. Cake points out Mesk's voice was familiar to me, but I couldn't place him. He was Max from Happy Endings, if anyone watched that long ago. Yeah, I couldn't place him either, but I haven't seen that show Happy Endings, so I'm curious about it. But yeah, I liked his voice a lot. You guys, I guess Braxton and I and Marcelo would know about Cincinnati, Ohio, but PJ, what do you know about Cincinnati, Ohio, or Ohio in general?
Oh, Max Blum. Yeah, I know his face. I don't really know him from much. What was the question? Sorry, I was looking.
Oh yeah,
Max Blum.
what do you know about Ohio and Cincinnati? Like, from like what have you heard about it, if anything at all?
Is Cleveland in Ohio?
Yeah, Cleveland is in Ohio.
Okay, Drew Carey show. Drew Carey is the only thing I know of Ohio.
Okay, so
his
so like a
stand-up and his
Midwest.
TV show. That's it.
I thought it was great because Mess did act like a Midwesterner, sort of like he had like kind of that Midwestern accent as well. But yeah, Cincinnati's like like Ohio in general is just like the heart of the of the Midwest. Maybe Chicago. Actually, that's Chicago. Chicago's more of the heart.
I'm sorry.
Of the Midwest.
The character's name was Max Blum. The actor who does Meska's voice is Adam Pally. Sorry.
Thank you,
Adam
Adam. Is it Paley or Pally?
Okay, probably Paley.
Paley, yeah.
And I want to see if he's from Cincinnati. No, he's from New York. New York. Okay, never mind.
Jill says everyone ships Rutherford and Tendi, and she hates shipping for the most part, but she does it too.
I'm almost afraid that if they go there, it will do that thing where it makes it awkward. Then they can't even be friends.
Right.
I almost want to keep them friends for the whole series, and then maybe like toward the end, it's like with Beverly and Picard, 7 seasons in, you're like, is this gonna happen? And they hint at it in that 7th season a couple of times, and you're like,
Times. Well, she kisses him. She kisses Jean-Luc. So yeah. Well, that was in All Good Things, so I don't know if that counts, but I guess it does. Yeah, it does count.
But think about it. Think about if Picard and Beverly hooked up season 4 and then they broke up. It would have been awkward. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, that would have been great. Yeah, but I mean, as a Star Trek fan who loves, relationship, rigmarole, I would just love to see how that affects their friendship and if that causes them to break up, and see how they would handle that. Now I understand most Star Trek fans don't want that, but to me, I would love to see some of our main cast get together, so when they start going through some shit, the drama is heightened for me because I actually care about them as characters and as a couple, and this shit was just glorious.
What if Tendi and Boimler have a romantic relationship, and then Rutherford's all like messed up over it? Oh, Jerry.
Jerry. Actually, but
Before we move on to the salon, Cake is pointing out, and I kind of had this impression too. I think Tendi and Rutherford already had that awkward moment. I thought they moved past it and are now friends. Yeah, I get that impression. She does call him her best friend. But those relationships could turn in. Sometimes your best friend could be the perfect person for you. So who knows? I personally think it's good that we have Mariner and Jennifer. We have Beckett and Jennifer as a couple. And so if none of the others couple, it's fine with me. We do know that Rutherford dates. I mean, he's gone on a couple dates with Barnes, right? Like, so, he's actively dating. So at the moment, Rutherford doesn't seem to have those feelings for Tendi. I think she definitely has some feelings for him, but I don't know if it's the other way around.
This. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. So go ahead.
I'm sorry, PJ. I just want to know, somebody could look this up. The actress who plays Jennifer in this episode, is she the same actress who played Jennifer previously? Because her
I
voice
think
sounded a
so.
little
I think it's just that we've heard her the most this episode. Let me just look it up.
okay. I'm
What
sorry
is it
for-
called? The Ceylon?
It's a
Yeah,
salon. The
salon.
salon.
Isn't that another word for like hell? Because it looks like she's going through the gates of it right there.
Dang. Let's see. Let's see if they have Jennifer listed here. I'm sure they do. Why don't they have Jennifer here? Wendy.
I hate the stereotype of a best friend of a lover or partner being a total judgmental prick. Like they have a thing for the person. Ugh. God damn. It's such a, it's a thing in real life too. It's like, yeah, it's so annoying.
Who
Why
plays
does the best
Jennifer?
friend have to be so like, yeah, I'm not
plays
sure
Jennifer?
about you. It's like,
Lauren Lapkus is who's credited with playing Jennifer
in this episode, right?
on Star Trek Lower Decks in general. I think it is the same actor, maybe.
Okay.
Who's playing her here? Yeah. So yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so thanks for asking about that. But yeah, here we meet Castro, who's one of Jennifer's friends, and this other group of women, and they're having what they call a salon, which is not a party, and I guess it's like a reference to like old timey gatherings of the 1800s or whatever. It's just a hip, trendy thing and so on and so forth. When she opens the door, by the way, there's like kind of like alternative music playing, which I really enjoyed. But PJ's got to go, so PJ, real quick, give us a quick rating before you head out. We're almost ending anyways. Here we usually like to keep things at an hour, but if you do have to run, let the audience know what you thought overall and just any other final thoughts.
I give it a 10 minus 2
Nice.
points for this stuff. So ace. So it's an ace.
Well, stick around as long as you can and chime in as much as you can while we go through the rest of this. But yeah, here we have like Mariner. This was one of my favorite parts, is when she was like thinking they were gonna like bash on Boimler. They're like, can we talk about Boimler? And she's like, oh yeah, sorry, he's not anti-aging, he's just doesn't have enough vitamins. And then they're like, he's so hot, and she's like, what? I need to pour a lot more alcohol to be at this party.
I don't like Mariner's resistance to people liking Boimler. She thinks people who like Boimler have something wrong with them, and it's a thing throughout the show. But she's kind of a hypocrite. I'm like, you like Boimler. You would
exactly.
not. You can't stand being without him. When he was on the Titan,
You're miserable, right? Yeah. Do you think it's like? I think it's like one of those things where like
It's love. It's love,
Yeah,
baby.
she just wants to keep. It's
This
an
is a
immature
couple
way
I
of-
think is going to end up together.
You think
I'm
so?
serious.
You're like.
Because
I think so too, PJ.
it's such a comedic thing to have somebody apparently like not be but when there's all these clues, like if like when he had that girlfriend at the time, which that I hated that episode, because not the episode, but the fact that the girl didn't like Boimler for Boimler, that had to be a bug, and that Mariner was right. So I'm like, we get these instances now in season 3 where on the Vineyard, like all these girls want him, and
Right.
and I think it's going to be a recurring theme. And if he actually ends up with somebody who like really appreciates him, I want to see how Mariner reacts to that. Because Boimler doesn't seem to have any hang-ups about her being, in a relationship. I wonder if Mariner would feel the same about him.
But Rick, you forgot to say hell with intention. Interesting. This negotiation scene was cool. I liked seeing how they were at first. They were like, "Oh, we're supposed to be with this other captain. What's the meaning of all this?" And then Captain Freeman kind of comes in with that like, "Oh, you're right, but we did bring lots of gifts." And then he's like, "Well, I guess we did come out all the way over here." But yeah, I liked seeing Captain Freeman have a little, something like this to do, like a big thing, like a negotiation. What'd you guys think of the whole thing with them?
It was cool. Like I said previously, it was really cool to see our lower deckers and to, a much lesser extent, our prime crew have really something with substance to do this episode, because you often don't see that. You often see the show filtered through the eyes of the lower deckers, and the prime crew playing an important role, but in a role in the shadows. And it was really nice to see this balance, at least for this episode.
Right.
Yeah.
Anything else, Braxton? Anyone?
I would say I love that they're so faithful to everything. So like this, like I can almost every shot in the show on DS9, I can translate the live action background. Like it's so.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody will come along and say, "Well, this isn't exactly right in that and this," but it looks so faithful. And I was like,
Yeah.
"Hello, other people making Star Trek out there, be faithful. Fans like that. Fans
I
Yeah,
agree.
like that."
they were very careful to make sure that it felt like Deep Space Nine. I totally agree with
Oh
you.
God, look at that. That's so good.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what
Do,
these
do an
these-
animated show about like doing. I don't know.
Yeah,
just
no, I'm saying
spitballing, but
I
yeah.
think like again doing it maybe doing it in a different style that's more of a hyper realistic, photorealistic type of style would be
Like that
neat
American
approach.
anime kind of deal. Like
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
that show, Invincible or something like that,
Oh, I love that show.
or
Yeah,
Vox
that's a great style.
Machina.
But I was
Maxima,
even
whatever
thinking
that
more
show is.
along the lines of like Love, Death, and Monsters. Like whenever they do the more hyper realistic,
Oh
gritty
yeah.
type of looks.
Bring back
I
the
th-
short treks and do nothing but legacy look at like Voyager,
legacy stuff. Yeah.
DS9, yeah, in animated form. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. I got a jet.
Ooh, Gesundheit. And
See you,
thanks for coming,
PJ.
PJ. It was really nice to have you on the show. Take care.
All
Oh,
right.
how can folks find you, real quick? And what are you doing these days?
You can find me on the YouTube channel Boat Wreck, where I do Boat Wreck live. I only do lives because that's the way I roll. And I'm on Twitter at BoatWreck1. So
Yeah, so check
yeah,
him out.
all right.
Thanks, PJ.
Thank you.
See you later.
See ya.
See ya,
Live long and
PJ.
prosper, folks.
Speaking of what PJ was just kind of riffing off what PJ was just saying about how like beautifully recreated all this is, and like how you just feel like it's all same thing. Dabo table, like the whole atmosphere around Quarks
So
and
great.
everything. Yeah. What do you guys think of Boimler's clutch?
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious. Like, Quark was like, "Oh, like something about a man with a coin first," and he's like, "Oh no, it's a clutch." I thought that was great. Like, it was nice to see the Dabo girls again. Yeah, this was something cool for Boimler to be doing while everyone else was like busy doing more major kind of things. This was a kind of like really lighthearted storyline for us.
Nice.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was just fun. I mean, come on, guys. It's a man purse, but for Boimler to call it a clutch, it was charming. It was just really nice. I mean, all the stuff with Boimler, anteing up every time he won a hand of Dabo was great. Even when the power went out, and and they cut, and the camera cuts over the Boimler, at the Dabo table, and everybody goes Dabo, even when the fucking power goes out. Who does that? It's just great. It's just great.
I loved all that stuff. I took a lot of screenshots of the well, here's where you start singing the sea shanty, but I took a lot of screenshots of the salon just because I was like I was really enjoying all the gags in this part. Like I get why, the characters themselves are annoying, but I just think that's why it's so funny. But my favorite part in the whole salon, was when they're like going around like, having everyone like state their intentions or do like a little performance or something like that, and Mariner's like I don't really have anything, next person, and then Castro kind of passive aggressively calls her out, and it's making Castro even worse in my mind. But then we get this character doing the Kobayashi Maroon interpretive dance, and I lost it. This is like my favorite gag in this whole section, and I just can't get over that it's Kobayashi Maroon. And then she's wearing like a maroon leotard. It's like really, really funny.
Again, for me, it was just fun to see Mariner interact in a different setting and see Mariner cohabitate in a relationship with somebody. It was just a whole lot of fun to see that dynamic between Mariner and Jennifer, and the fact that Mariner wanted to make a good impression, with Jennifer's dumb, stupid friends, says a lot about how she's matured as a character. Because I think the Mariner from season one wouldn't even entertain going to a party like this. I don't think Mariner from season one would be able to control herself in this setting. So to me, this whole scene here really illustrates how far Mariner has come as an individual character, and that's why I enjoyed like 98% of all this stuff.
Right on.
This scene made me feel like Mariner is feeling more and more out of place. Like I remember the job fair and her meeting up with the archaeologist and like archiving her number. I'm starting to feel like Starfleet might not be for Mariner, and I felt like this party totally was not her vibe. You know. Like I said, I don't particularly like Jennifer for Mariner, and like to me, she felt so out of place in this scene.
But what about when Jennifer's finally like, "Babe, I want you to just be you," and she gives her permission to like go off on everyone. That was like a cool moment, right? Like that was showing that Jennifer's kind of like maybe there's something to Jennifer that we're not seeing yet, fully.
Most people, when they're in friendships with their partners or their significant others, they have two faces, right? They have a face that they share with the family, and they have a face just for their partner, or just for their the person that they're dating. And I think that's true with Jennifer. I mean, in season one, when we first saw Jennifer, she got pushed by Mariner, but I could totally see Jennifer having one sort of personality with her dumb friends, who are pictured here, and have her true personality with Mariner. So with that being said, I could totally see how Jennifer could just say, I wanted you to be here to make my stupid friends look like assholes. That's why I wanted you here. So I totally could see that.
I think, yeah, I think that like that's interesting. Yeah. We have I Cake says I thought this was hilarious. That was hilarious. That was the only down that Sean gave the episode. Was it? You mean the Kobayashi Maroon was the only down that Sean gave? Oh, I
Hmm.
got to reach out to Sean Ferrick and ask.
He
How
said
did
this
that?
overuse of Kobayashi Maru. He's like
Ah,
he's like overuse.
I'm tweeting. I'm adding Sean Ferrick right after this stream. I'm gonna try to find a maroon leotard so I can send send him a photo of me being like Kobayashi Maroon. There's no right way to do it. No, it's super cool though. I love ups and downs. So he only gave one down to this episode. That's pretty impressive though, I have to say. So that's pretty cool. Um, so here we have the climax. I like how everything started to. I like that structure of this episode where everyone kind of had some like tense moments at the same time. So we had the intensity, kind of start building with the salon, and then here we think everything's going so far so good. These guys decided to go ahead and trust Captain Freeman, even though they were expecting someone else. So she and Kira bring them to Quark's, thinking Quark is gonna be a showman and like do his thing and like sell the trade stuff and like convince these guys that like let's do trade with the Federation and or at least with the Alpha Quadrant in general. But then Quark starts to get all shifty and he's like, oh yeah, there's I don't trust you guys, or I wouldn't do any business with you. Like you guys were helping so and so during the Dominion War and blah 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 and this and that, and then it like creates this whole thing. And I was like surprised about it. I was like, Quark, what are you doing? Just like everyone else. Like Nerys was even like, in on like surprised by this, and she was like, Quark, you don't have any principles or whatever. But then we find out, of course, that it's because he wasn't on the up and up later on. But yeah, I love this moment, and then it escalates. It continues to escalate with the Tendi and Mesk stuff, and I and then it continues to escalate with Boimler being accused of cheating. And then he's like, "No, I swear I'm not." And then he's like, "Let's go all the way," and he does that. So I loved all this kind of escalation that was occurring. But yeah, it culminates with this moment here where they throw down the replicator, the Quark 2000, and we find out that it had Karemman parts in it. And so then Quark's found out. They plant that device that neutralizes the station, and Quark does his scream, which Jill pointed out earlier.
Softly, boy, do the scream.
What's that?
Do the scream.
I can't do it. Can you do it, Marcelo, or can you do it, Rexon?
No, I can.
It's really
there
funny.
There you go. It's not bad.
By the way, we have Philip Hawkins in the audience here. Hey, good to see you, Phil. Phil says it was great seeing Deep Space Nine and Kira and Quark again. Totally. By the way, everyone go check out Phil's channel. He does a lot of cool content. He talks about Star Trek and Doctor Who especially, and I'm excited to hear what your thoughts are going to be when Doctor Who comes back in a few weeks. It's going to be exciting. I think it's a few weeks.
Dude.
Yeah,
it's a few weeks?
I think so. There's a special... Well, Phil can let us know if he's still in the audience.
Dude, I've never watched Doctor Who, but I totally am going to watch the new Doctor Who for that.
With Shooty, right? With Shooty Gatwa. Yeah, he's exciting. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm so excited that you're going to watch Doctor Who.
Yeah, dude, I'm about to jump in.
Phil's channel is the place to go for all the Doctor Who stuff. And, of course, I'm a huge Whovian, so if you have any Doctor Who questions, you can ask me, or Marcelo too, right? Marcelo.
Yes, I'm a huge Doctor Who fan, so you can go to either of us. But you've never seen Doctor Who, you need to fix that right now, man.
Hey, everyone has a first Doctor, and I'm super excited that Braxton's first Doctor is going to be Shooty, who's the 14th Doctor, right? Did I get that? Yeah. No, 13th. Is he the 13th or the? I've lost track of how many Doctors.
No, I think he's the 14th.
But the 14th, yeah, because that makes sense. The 12th Doctor was Capaldi, so yeah, that makes sense. But there's a whole thing of and never mind, don't worry about it, Braxton. I'm excited that you're gonna be watching. But Phil just pointed out the special is on the 23rd of October. It's 90 minutes. So yeah, check it out. And Jill says my first Doctor was the 9th. My first Doctor was the 6th Doctor. What about yours, Marcel? Who was your first Doctor? Joel's was the 6th too.
Yeah, my first Doctor was Matt Smith.
11. That's my favorite
11.
Doctor of all time. He's my baby. That's my baby. I love the 11th Doctor.
The raggedy man with the bow tie, man. Woo!
That's right. I totally love that Doctor. But here we have the Boimler's thing pays off even when the power goes off. The last thing that happens is he gets Dabo, and so they kidnap Quark and take him back. And that was a funny scene, by the way, with Mesk writing Orion graffiti that says that Tendi's a traitor and stuff like that. I think it's hilarious also that it's on this ship that no Orion's ever, well, I don't know if no Orion's ever gonna see, but it's just so funny. But they realize that Quark is on the ship. They realize that something's up, and they're starting to figure it out there. And then we get to this part here, which is the climax of the salon scene, which is incredible. And, they're all freaking out because the power has gone out. And they have 100 candles in these quarters, and they start choking, and they don't know why, which I think is hilarious. But Castro won't put out the candles. She's like, all of our intentions are in these candles. So that's when Beckett is like, all right, everyone. She just starts phasering them, and I just love she chases them down and starts to phaser them.
That's
and it's
awesome.
So good, so good. I love this scene. I think this is so absurd and hilarious. You were gonna say, Marcelo?
Yes. Also, just one thing. when we first heard that there was going to be a Deep Space Nine episode, I had heard somewhere that Mike McMahon rewrote the episode because Tandy Newton was really upset
I
that she didn't get
think
to
it's
go on
hilarious
the
that you
station.
called her Tandy Newton, but it's
Tawny Newsome.
Tawny
No, I'm
News.
sorry, Tiny Newsom. I'm sorry. I'm
I
sorry.
think you're thinking
Beckett.
isn't the actor Thandy Newton's a famous
Yeah, yeah,
actor?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, Beckett. Beck
Yeah,
the
Beckett.
Beckett. So
Yeah.
but I thought that Beckett was going to be a larger part of the Deep Space Nine stuff. But I'm happy that Mike, like I know the guy, gave Beckett that small little scene on the station
Yes.
at the end of the episode. I
Yeah, it
thought
was
that she
nice.
was going to be a more integral part of the stuff on the station, but I'm happy that she wasn't because we got this amazing stuff with Jennifer.
Absolutely. And we're gonna, we know that Mariner did serve on the station at some point. So I think there's gonna be a lot more in the future. Not a lot more, but there will be more Deep Space Nine
There's
in the
more.
future as we explore Mariner's past even more. Let's see here. Let's see here. Oh, there we go. So this is pretty cool because the ship they're about to escape with Quark. The station is helpless. So is the Cerritos. So they can't do anything about it. But fortunately, we had Tendi, Rutherford, and Mesk aboard. And after finding out that Mesk is not, Tendy's like, "All right, we need you to do your pirate stuff and help us out. This would be a great time for pirate stuff." And then that's when he confesses that he's not actually a pirate. That he was raised by humans in Ohio and Cincinnati, and that like he learned all his pirate stuff from naughty magazines. And Tendi really appreciates this. Like I love this scene here because she was annoyed by him the whole time, but when he finally admits like who he really is and like why he was putting up a front, she like warms up to him, and then she's like, "Okay, fine. I guess I have to do this." And she gets into action. And it's so freaking good. I love this scene. This episode gave us that like hilarious scene with Beckett just stunning everyone. And then we get this like crazy scene of like just action superhero superstar Tendi. And I loved it. It was all so great. And you don't I didn't catch this on the first watching, but whatever she does to the systems, you do see the thrusters firing from the front of the ship, so that's why it kind of like stops right ahead of the wormhole. So that was great. That whole thing was just to like get control of the ship. And then I like that when she arrives at this control station, the one guy just jumps off because of her scream. uh so that was pretty funny. But yeah, let's see here in the audience. I'm really looking forward. Phil says, "I'm really looking forward to the apparent Strange New Worlds crossover." Yeah, it's gonna be pretty awesome. To see that. That's gonna be nuts. Well, that's next season in Strange New Worlds, so we'll get there pretty soon.
Yeah, depending on how they handle it.
They'll
But
handle
no,
it great.
it'll be great. It'll be great. I have faith.
That gives us enough time that gives them enough time to get the power back up and tractor beam. I love that gold, by the way, that gold colored energy that you always see associated with the with Deep Space Nine and Cardassians in general. But yeah, it's very cool. And then there's that scene of them stunning each other so that which is really romantic in a weird way. Um, and finally we get the conclusion where Quark fesses up and Captain Freeman. I keep calling her Admiral. She should be an admiral. But Captain Freeman, comes up with this like solution here and gives away what like 70% of Quark's profits, 76% of Quark's profits to the Karemma. What do you guys think of the? Do you think that was fair for Quark to only get 24% of
No,
profits?
no.
But she does.
I'm, I'm like, if Cork does not have a freak out right now, I'll be upset, but he does. A little later on for like a moment, he just goes, "No."
He'd
Yeah.
rather be in jail than be poor, dude.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
like, I don't know. Well, that's what Freeman says to him later at the end, and this was super sweet to end it like this with this little, kind of epilogue on the station, wrapping up all the. I mean, yeah, wrapping up all the stories. So we get like the Karemma are super happy now with their new deal, and like they're totally like pleased about how the outcome occurred. We have Boimler, accepting a cork bucks instead of, and he's like, oh, we don't actually use money in the Federation anyway, so like none of the like I couldn't use all this money anyways, and I didn't screenshot it, but you see him like walk away with all this like cork swag, like he has like the fake ears like at Disney World and like stuff like that. It's hilarious that Quarks has become so famous. By the way, I love that this era of Star Trek kind of deals with the fame that some of these characters would have like in past generations. Like we see Jean-Luc's fame in Star Trek Picard. We see several legacy characters and how famous they are in Lower Decks, but it was kind of a Quark especially kind of hit home with that because he's exploiting the fame for sure, and like taking advantage of it as he would. And there's that moment you were talking about where they put Jennifer and Mariner on the station too, and we get Kira come over and talk to her, and like they have that little moment and exchange, and we get the really sweet moment with Shax and Kira at the end over here as well, which I really loved. But yeah, what did you
Dude,
think
what is
of
that
the?
drink that they're drinking, dude?
Oh, I forgot what it's called. If Father's still in the audience, he pointed it out on Text Trek. But Quark makes it in Deep Space Nine, and I like how it's suspended. It's got like different layers and stuff like that. Doesn't it remind you of like aren't Long Island iced teas like that a little bit, like or
Yeah,
something?
yeah, yeah. Long Island iced teas are like that, but Long Island iced teas will put you on your ass if you don't know how to drink them properly.
That's true. How do you drink them properly? Like slow, right? Like you're supposed to do it
Slow,
like
yeah, yeah. You gotta sip. You do not chug a Long Island iced tea because
Starfleet Boy
even
did not listen to that advice or did not have that advice when he was a
even
young
yeah,
person.
even if you drink one and you chug one, forget it. You're gonna be on your ass.
Oh, Jill points out we see Spock's fame in TNG. That's a really good point. So yeah, that's a really good point about that.
Yeah, but
Um,
I think that this era of Star Trek in particular is the era that has paid most reverence and respect to the era that came before them. I mean, yeah, we did see this. We did see
in
the
universe as well as like outside the yeah.
right in universe as well as outside the universe. But the Spock sort of reverence in the TNG episode was sort of isolated because Berman's era, for my money, didn't really pay that much of like
Homage to
fans.
the
Yeah,
TOS era, right?
yeah. Berman's era was isolated and wonderful, but it didn't pay homage to the TOS era as much as New Trek pays homage to Berman's era of Trek and all the characters that inhabited that little pocket of Star Trek.
That being said, going back to Deep Space Nine, nice point out here. Kirk and Spock were total rock stars in Trials and Tribulations. They do that whole thing, but yeah, it was cool. But yeah,
Yeah,
this era definitely, Marcel, you're right, does the most kind of. But that makes sense too because they have the most
yeah,
history to draw from, right? Like
that's
at
right.
this point,
That's right.
so yeah, it's cool.
They
Um,
have like a deluge.
Yeah, it's true. Phil points out, I just read that Tani improvised Jennifer's name in season one, not knowing she'd be drawn as an Andorian and probably would have used something more alien if she'd known. That's just perfect. Yeah, I read
Get
that
out of my way,
too.
Jennifer. Sorry.
Jennifer. It's true. I read that too, and I love it. And I forget who it was that we were talking to. I think it might have been Rachel over on Text Trek, but it was someone pointed out that maybe it is like maybe there could be like crossover names in the Federation, like where Andorians might name their kids like stuff like that, or there could be crossover names in the sense that Jennifer exists as a Andorian name, but it's just spelled differently, so it'd be spelled like in an Andorian way. So I kind of like that. Both of those ideas, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it would have. I think it would. I think it's just way funnier that Jennifer's named Jennifer, and also now that like, just like where they've come with this character who started out as just like someone she like pushes aside, like Jennifer, get out of the way, and now they're like in a total relationship. So that's pretty cool.
What are you doing? I'm working out. You work out. What do you do? Pilates. It's leg day. Come on.
Very true.
Come on.
Well, that wraps up our discussion of this episode. If there's anything I missed, audience, please let us know while we give our closing remarks and ratings. And also feel free to let us know in a rating format, whether it's ridiculous rating format or a actual rating of 1 through 10, what you would give this episode. I'll finish out by saying, yeah, like I have not gotten tired of watching this episode or talking about this episode. I'm excited that we're going to talk about it some more at 4 p.m. today on Trek Central. So if you guys are not tired either, go and check that out. But overall, it's just such a treat. Like, I feel like this was a treat in so many ways. It was a treat for fans of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and as well as, people who love Lower Decks and wanted to see this happen for a while now because they've been teasing it since the beginning. So I think this was just absolutely delightful, and I give this episode a very solid 11. So that's my Starfleet Boy rating for this episode. Marcelo, why don't you tell us some closing thoughts on this episode if you have any, and then give us a rating and tell folks where they can find you.
Yeah, I adored this episode for many reasons because Deep Space Nine is my second favorite Star Trek show next to TNG, and I love the character work in this episode, specifically with Mariner and Jennifer. I love seeing Quark and Kira again. It would have been nice to see maybe Jake, although I don't understand why he would be there, but it would have been cool to see some other legacy characters. But this just made me so happy that despite that awful guy that was giving Tendi, false information and was just being such a pain. I adore this episode. Like I said in the open, for me, this is my second favorite episode of the entire show, hands down. So with that being said, my grade for this episode is a 12. So
wow. Well, Marcel,
God.
you've never given like a 12
Yeah.
before. That's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Oh my
man.
God.
Wow.
Dude, I thought
And
that
by the way,
Marcelo was
our ratings are from the gut. They don't have any like sensicalness, audience.
No,
anyone who's
they're
new
not sensical
listening
at
to
all.
it. Yeah, so like, yeah, that's high praise from Marcelo. I remember like he hardly even gives 10. So for this to jump straight to a 12 is like
Yeah.
pretty big. All right, well, Braxton, I think you gave us a rating on the space. Has it changed, and give us your final thoughts and where folks can find you as well.
Oh, I forgot. that.
Dude, Marcelo typically rates low. Like as
Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
giving the
I do love-
episode, it's kudos. I totally thought that he was gonna say 8 or something. Dude, but you and Marcelo are totally cheating, dude. You cannot go higher than a 10. You can't. So
Oh, we did though. We did do it.
see, you cheating makes me want to give it an 8, but I can't. I have to give it a 10, dude. I thought this was a great episode, and this is such a beautiful shot to end it. Like, just amazing. This is a great episode, dude.
Right on. Well, we got our audience ratings. Some folks are giving 8.5s from Phil, 8.25 from Jill, and anyone else. Oh, and Braxton, where can folks find you?
Yes, you can find me on Twitter at Leviathan026.
Yay!
Yeah.
Well, audience, thank you so much, and wonderful panel for joining me today. And PJ, thank you if you're listening to this later to see how the conversation wrapped up. It's always so enjoyable to spend a Sunday afternoon with you guys. I hope you have a really amazing rest of your weekend, and you can see this week. I haven't even told Trek on the Tube. This week we're not doing a second breakfast on Tuesday. I don't know when we're gonna do it, but it's gonna be at a different time and date, or we might have to double up next week if Toddy can't make it.
Second breakfast
But
is already pretty dense, dude. I don't know if you can do two episodes, dude. That'll be like 3 hours of talking, dude.
I know, I know. All right, we'll try. We're gonna try our best to do it. Maybe, Braxton, if you're since you're caught up, it sounds like maybe you and I'll do one. You could sub for Toddy at a different time, and Marcel, you're always invited to those second breakfast conversations as well, of
Ooh,
course.
wow. Ooh, wow.
Yeah, so we'll talk. We'll talk offline. I gotta coordinate with Toddy first. But then Thursdays we do a Twitter Spaces. Braxton and I have been hosting those, and sometimes Marcelo pops in as well, and a bunch of cool folks from Twitter every week at 9 p.m. where we talk about the latest and greatest episode of Star Trek. So we'll talk about the next episode of Lower Decks, which looks like it's going to be another exciting episode. Saturdays we are doing our animated series discussions. So we've been doing the we just did geez, why can't I? Oh, More Trouble. More Trouble, More Tribbles, which was a fun episode yesterday. And then Sundays we're doing these discussions as well as over on Trek Central. So check all of that out. Did I forget anything? Did I leave anything out? No, I think I got everything. Oh, yes. Sorry. One important thing. I am obsessed with 12 Monkeys. I just finished the show. It's amazing. Marcelo, I know you love the show.
I told
so
you.
yeah, so we gotta talk
told you.
we gotta talk about this. But Trek on the Tube's other channel, which is called ABTG, Absolute Bullshit True Greatness, he's going to be doing season discussions on that channel. I don't know when we're going to launch those, but Starfleet Boy is so obsessed that I'm going to start doing some edited, scripted videos about 12 Monkeys. I know it's like 4 years later, so I missed the original vote. But there's going to be a lot of 12 Monkeys content coming up on Starfleet Boy After Dark, so check that out, please. I'm obsessed. And I heard Terry Matalas has an idea for a sequel series already. He tweeted about it, but it's up to the people who are interested. So I'm going to do everything I can to drum up more attention for 12 Monkeys, because it is a perfect show, which I've never seen a perfect show before. I've seen perfect episodes, I've seen perfect movies, I've seen perfect seasons, but never a perfect show. And so,
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's heavy. To quote Back to the Future, it's super heavy. So,
Heavy? What do you think
so
about
keep an
heavy?
eye out for that. And Cake is asking, what is the scripted video? It's just not a live video, but I just want to experiment. There'll be like shorter format videos, just because I have so many ideas. There's so many references and little things in 12 Monkeys, like pop culture stuff, history stuff. It's such a dense but beautifully balanced show. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Yeah, I want to give scripted a try. I'm gonna give it a try. Let's see how we do. All right, folks. Thank you so much for coming. Live long and prosper, and we will see you next time.